The following program contains views that are not those of WVTC, iNetworks Communications, their subsidiaries, affiliates, or financial supporters.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, Christians and friends. We thank and praise God for this another glorious privilege to come into your homes while you're riding along in your automobiles, your various places of business, to bring you Ramon Perry and According to Your Faith, the gospel show emanating live and direct from the studios of WVTC, where we're winning victory through Christ's stellar award-winning WVTC. We trust and pray that this time with Jesus would give you strength to go forward in faith. Beloved, I am so glad to be back with you today. Tonight is a special edition of According to Your Faith with Ramon Perry, as this is our last show right before our service on Saturday night. And I am so looking forward to it. I need you all to share this, share it. I need to see everybody. I need my numbers up. And I know a lot is going on, but I want to see you, and even you share this to your front page, like, share, and comment tonight. I've got some special guests that's going to be coming on in just a moment with us, and I'm so excited about this. I'm not going to waste any time bringing my big brothers and my other little brother, they're all giants to me, into the building. Up top, we've got Elder Timothy C. Brown, founder of True Praise Chorale. I've got William Smith Jr., founder of Renewed Voices for Christ. They are our special guests, and I'm so glad to have them with me tonight. Tim, say hello to everybody, Elder Brown.
Grace and peace to everyone. I am just so excited to be here once again with Brother Ramon Perry and According to Your Faith radio show. And I also want to say a hearty congratulations to WVTC on the stellar award win. Much deserving of it. And kudos to you guys for a job well done. You deserve it.
Listen, we give God the glory and we give him definitely all the praise. Barbara Bacon, I love you. Thank you so much for sharing with me. I need everyone to share tonight. It's going to be some good things happening tonight. We're going to get you prepared for Saturday. Come on. We call him Billy, but that's William Smith Jr., founder of RVC, Renewed Voices for Christ. Say hello to everybody, Billy.
Hello, everybody. God bless you. It's an honor, privilege to be here. And thank you, Ramon, for this opportunity. And According to Your Faith radio show. I'm just blessed to be here.
Listen.
Hey, everybody.
I am honored and privileged to have my brothers in here with me tonight. These people that you see, these two brothers here, they're the reason that there's a ministry in praise, or at least half of the reason, because they literally inspired me. Billy, I'm sure you know that I come through Hyde Park maybe 1 or 2 years before you and Cedric, I think. Maybe 1 or 2, not too much more than that. Well, I'm going to go into the class of 82. How about that?
You should have stayed around a little longer with us.
No, they kicked me out. And I literally saw you guys with Renewed Voices, which kind of got started through Hyde Park. Can you tell us about the beginning of Renewed Voices? Let's talk about that tonight.
Well, I can't talk about the beginning unless I'm talking about the beginning of Hyde Park, because I don't know if you remember Sister Sandra LeConte.
Yes, yes,
You
yes.
know, and she did a gospel concert up at Hyde Park. She was one of the music teachers up there, maybe in 81, maybe 82, around that time, and we did the whole Hawkins album, and I was privileged to play the piano for that concert. You know, I think I was in 8th grade maybe, and once I came to Hyde Park, the choir members that were still there, they wanted to start the choir again, and that's what we kind of started the choir, and went into the WJPC choir competitions, and we just got rolling from then. And then it just kept going, and it kept going to the point where some of the choir members that was graduated and that was still in Hyde Park wanted to start another choir, because I guess they kind of got tired of with the young kids that kept coming in. They want to start something for the older choir members, and that's how Renewed Voices was birthed out of that.
So about what year was that, or at least how old is Renewed Voices?
That was in 1990. 1990, and we were set and planned to celebrate our 30th year. The year COVID shut everything down.
Wow, isn't that something?
Yeah.
See, it changed a lot of things.
Yeah. So we're still planning on a big celebration. It might not be a 30-year celebration, but it'll be over 30-year celebration, and that'll be coming up, something to be looking forward to.
Absolutely. And so Pastor Kidd is I think he's a year or two in front of me. And I remember seeing him at Hyde Park when I was there, not knowing that he was so talented, and even finding out years later that you all were brothers. So it's just like a full circle here. And you said 30 years?
30 years.
Wow. Listen, that's something to be commended. And how did you pick the members? Did they come and say, I want to be a part, or did you audition? How did that work out?
Well, we auditioned through Hyde Park Choir, because we did have auditions, and I always say that Hyde Park Gospel Choir was the first American Idol, because we had the choir members come in and sing for me, my brother, Pastor Kidd, Kerry Borders, and we'll sit there and listen to them come in and sing, and they made it. Some of them that didn't make it still made it, but we still knew what we had. We still knew we had to work with. And so most of those choir members that came to RVC were already seasoned singers.
Already, okay. Oh, that's obvious.
Yeah. They were already, and then anybody that wanted to join RVC, it was not an audition, but it was a recommendation, because we knew that they was going to come in and be able to handle the pressures of singing aggregation.
Oh yeah, and you said the pressures.
Yes.
And well, Tim wouldn't know anything about that. Listen,
I can write a book.
All of us leaders know that there is pressure when you're in leadership, no matter what. Is that right?
To whom much is given. Yeah.
But listen, we're gonna move on. I want to talk to my other big brother, Elder Tim Brown, founder of True Praise Chorale, fine singing aggregation that was another catalyst for me wanting to go ahead and do what was on my heart. Come on, let's talk about that, Tim. What was the catalyst for you starting True Praise Chorale, and how did that begin?
Wow. Again, thank you for this opportunity, Ramon. Actually, we organized in 1995, and it was during the time when I had just ended my tenure as minister of music at my former church. And I clearly remember the president of the choir at that time coming to me saying, oh, Tim, you got to start a choir. You got to start your own choir. And at that point, I was literally through and done with choirs. That was the last thing that was on my mind. I was a faithful member at that time of the late James Chambers Ecclesiastes Community Choir. And I was just a big fan of ECC, and I thought no other choir could compare to ECC. So the last thing on my mind was to organize another group. And I know we're going to talk later on about the late Dr. Bridget Joyce Moore, but she was so instrumental in talking with me like, Tim, I think you should go ahead and organize this choir, and you don't have to worry. I'll be right there with you if you do it. And I'm like, I don't know. I just don't hear God telling me to do that. And so it was a young man at my former church who is now an ordained minister by the name of Elder Darvell Stinson. He called me and he said, Tim, I had a dream about you and that the choir, and that you had organized a choir. And he gave me a name. And I was like, oh, wow, what did you hear? What was the dream about? And he said, the Lord gave me this name, True Praise Chorale. And I was like, get out of here. And so I prayed about it. I slept over it. I talked with some other people. I remember at that time going to the president of ECC at the time, Patricia Thompson. And I told her what was on my heart because, again, her being my leader, I did not want to organize another group without talking with her. Right. And I'll never forget the advice that Pat Thompson gave me. And that was, because at that time, Chicago had a plethora of community choirs. And I was like, that's the last thing I want to do is organize another community choir in Chicago. And she told me, Tim, it's not what how many choirs we have. It's what your choir does that makes the difference. And so I really prayed and I thought about us being more ministry oriented versus more of a singing aggregation. And thus the birth in October of 1995, True Praise Chorale came aboard, and we ran a good 15 years. In 2010, I decided to end it. And we came together in 2013 for a reunion for my 50th birthday. And now here we are again, getting ready to sing on this coming Saturday. And we're excited about what the Lord is doing.
Probably not half as much as I am. I'm just really excited about it.
And let me just say, only Ramon Perry can talk me into doing this because he knows how I am. Once I'm done with something, I am like over it. He's like, he asked me then when we knew what it was all about, I could not say no. So I'm looking forward to this.
So I want to call this name, I'm going to say this name, and this name carries so much weight, especially to our generation. And this probably is a beginning for us all even being connected. Reverend Philip Sneed. Billy, say something about Reverend Philip Sneed, please.
Well, for one, Pastor Sneed took us under our wing. He was our spiritual advisor, and he loved him some William Smith Jr. and Renewed Voices for Christ.
Absolutely.
I believe he took us on our first road trip to Akron, Ohio.
I remember Akron.
Akron, Ohio, and we would sing the walls down there, and then we would come back, and then he formed a youth fellowship where we would meet more people, and that's in whatever we asked of Pastor Sneed, he obliged us and he blessed us with his presence.
Absolutely, every time. Timmy?
It's not enough time to talk about Reverend Philip Sneed. Philip Eugene Sneed was a very good friend of mine, one of my closest friends for such a long time. It's so ironic. I was just going through some things, trying to find some old TPC items, and I ran across this obituary. And it was ironic, the same year, 2010, that I decided to end TPC is when Reverend Sneed transitioned. And so he was my board member. He was one of the first persons that gave us an opportunity to rehearse at his church. When we first did our debut, we had all of our choir rehearsals at Greater Mount Vernon. And even when I got called to ministry in 1998 to preach, I preached my first sermon for Reverend Philip E. Sneed at Greater Mount Vernon for his pastor's anniversary. And that was huge to me. Here I am, a novice in ministry, but then he allowed me the platform to come and to preach for him. So there's just so much I can say about Philip Sneed. When you just hear his name, you just think gospel. This man knew everything. I know Stanley Davis and the late Reverend Nash Schaefer and others are historians, but next to them, Philip Sneed was definitely another gospel historian. Knew everybody and everything.
Wow, that's amazing. And he connected so many of us together, and we didn't know that these relationships would be lifelong. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
I mean, I did not know that Ministry and Praise would be connected to RVC and TPC, and then our friendships, they just run deep, and they run, and it's just a blessing. Listen, I've got a little something that I want to play tonight. I want you guys to mute your mics. I want to play a little of this tonight. Let's see if you all recognize this ministry tonight. Well, we're not going to give the store away because it's going to, Tim knows this. He knows what I'm going to say. There's going to be some pushing and some shoving on Saturday night. RVC is trying to push us out the way, and Tim is coming from the other side with TPC trying to push it. We just going to be all one big great family on this Saturday night. You don't want to miss it. Tell a neighbor, tell a friend. Saturday night, November the 5th. 3 United, that's Ministry and Praise, True Praise Chorale, RVC, we will be together as one. We're going to celebrate bringing our choirs back together, and we're going to also do a tribute to the late Dr. Brenda Joyce Moore, who definitely touched all of our lives musically in one way or the other. And I want you to make plans to attend right now. Right now, I need you there. I need you there. I need to see everybody there. Now, there is no admission charge. This is going to take place at Messiah Temple Baptist Church, 10400 South Halsted. Pastor Keith McGee is the host pastor. We're going to have special guest evangelist Lemmy Battles, and Reverend Dr. Darlene Allen Nichols is also going to be there. We're going to be doing some. So you're going to see here RVC singing just like that. Wait a minute, are you ready? I need to ask, is RVC in the building tonight? I saw a few of them in the comments out there. Billy, are they there tonight?
They should be in here. They should be in here.
I saw Tanya. I see Frank Muhammad. Oh my God, we go back a ways. Frank, one of your good tenors.
Oh yeah.
I see Elder David Prater. I see Tim Kelly. God bless you. Tim Kelly said thanks to Willie Smith and RVC. What did he say? Gave me my first chance as a songwriter. Isn't that something?
Wonderful song. Also,
he didn't forget. I see one of the Chicago's best singers, Walter Howard, is out there. I see Roosevelt Hamilton. Thank you, Roosevelt. Dennis Gary, Tracy Pittman, Elder David Prater. God bless you. Tracy, let me see, Bishop Fred Jackson, Gary, Indiana, True Foundation, Full Gospel Baptist Church, off of 47th and Pierce. That is the senior pastor in the building. My son, Dennis Gary, and Latanya Allen. Listen, I need you all to share this live tonight. Share, and tag some more RVC, tag some Ministry and Praise, tag True Praise Chorale. Listen, we're going back to talk a little about Reverend Sneed, and we're going to talk about Brenda. I'm going to show another clip of one of the milestone clips for RVC. I'm going to show it just in a minute. Reverend Sneed was Chicago Gospel. And he had a way of, without even trying, Reverend Sneed was just being Reverend Sneed. But I don't think he even knew the impact that he really had. But he knew how to put a program together. Is that what he called him? A program.
Exactly.
Not a program, but a program.
A program.
That's right. And he would and Latanya is an original member of RVC. My cousin, Tina Sanders, God bless you. I look forward to seeing you on tomorrow night. Listen. He was Chicago Gospel. He knew how to make it happen. He knew how to get things done. And if he said, we singing over here, we as young people just came, right? Isn't that how youth fellowship rally would wreck on the south side and on the west side? We would just go. What was one of the songs we sing? For he is king of kings and he had us going, and we were singing, Lord, increase my faith, long before it was recorded, wasn't we?
Exactly.
And so we have to pay homage to one of those that connected us in a great way, right? And we thank God and bless the spirit of Philip Sneed. But True Praise Chorale, listen, when Tim started True Praise Chorale, I saw a standard of excellence. First of all, when Tim leave out the house, you think he's going to a photo shoot anyway. I can't do nothing with Tim. I don't worry about it. I'm just going to put on some jeans and t-shirt. I'm not going to try because I can't do nothing with Tim on a bad day. And so his choir presented excellence. Their sound was on point. Their attire was on point. And I said, I want a choir just like that. When I saw RVC, the power, the drive, the strength that all of you all had, I was like, man, they are really good. And these were friends of mine. So I was so inspired by right here at home, outside of the other ministries that I was a part of. I mean, Tim, both of us came through ECC. That was excellence on top of excellence right there, you know? And so all of these things help make us who we are today. And they poured into us, whether they knew it or not. I learned so much from watching James operate ECC. Never can forget it, right? Let's talk a little bit about James, because that's how I got connected to Brenda, even almost before anything else. Want to talk about that a little bit, Timmy?
Absolutely. J.C. Chambers was one of my mentors. I had 4 mentors when it came to choir and directing. The first one, and I'll just go back briefly, George Mays was one. I was a big fan of George Mays. He had a group called the Voices of Praise. Pastor Reginald Earl McCracken, a great friend of mine. I knew him back in his days at Antioch before he went to fellowship, and even with the True Voices of Christ concert chorale ensemble. And then also, of course, everybody's the greatest of all time, Chadwick Allen Cathay. Can nobody beat Allen Cathay directed? He was the best. And then, of course, James C. Chambers. So those 4 guys were like my idols. And I learned and gleaned a lot as far as leadership from James and how he governed Ecclesiastes Community Choir. I'll share this quick story. One of my things, as far as uniform, ECC had like some of the baddest robes ever. And so that was one of the things I wanted to pattern myself after. And so every robe that we had made, Deborah Outlaw, who created all of the robes for ECC, created our robes as well. But she would never duplicate anybody else's robe because there was so many robes that ECC had, and I wanted just in a different color. I said, well, I want this exact same robe. She's like, I can't do that. This robe is just for ECC, just like every robe I make for True Praise Chorale is just going to be for True Praise Chorale. And so I appreciate that. And, you know, getting from going to the West Side to the Shoe King, getting the ladies' shoes dyed, to match the robes, all of that we got from James. And I remember our first engagement at Corinthian Temple on the West Side, and Madam Lavonia Willie. As soon as we walked in the door, she was like, "Oh my God, you remind me so much of James Chambers." And I was like, "Wow, that was such a compliment to me," because I wanted to pay homage to this man who was such a great inspiration to me. And I'll close with this. I remember even in 1995 when I organized TPC, Bernadine Chambers, James' mother, came to me and she said, "I'm mad at you." And I'm like, "Why are you mad at me? What did I do?" Because I didn't want you to organize your own choir. I thought you would take over ECC. And I was like, me? I mean, because we had, you know, Steve Puff Jones and Stanley Pearson and all these other cats that were awesome directors that had really taken ECC to another level. But for Dee, as we called her, to say that to me made my heart just bleed. It was just an honor to hear that somebody looked up to me in that aspect. So there's so much we can say about James Chambers. He's such an awesome man of God. And I learned a lot from him in the many years that I've known him. And I thank God for the 8 years that was a part of ECC.
Absolutely. I believe Denny Yancey is in this building. She's a longtime member of ECC. She helps me with my show every week. We learned so much there. I want to acknowledge Travis Douglas, who he's a Chicago transplant. I believe he's in Carolina, somewhere out there over east. Fine director, had wonderful ministry here. He said, "I remember dyeing the shoes at Shoe King because we had matching shoes." My brother from Detroit, one of the founding members of the Whitfield Company, Robert Majors. God bless you, Robert, for sharing with us tonight. And Christopher Smith, fine director and singer, just doing great things. Part of TPC and the Tommies, just doing great things. He's in the building tonight. I see so many of you. Listen. I'm gonna play a little bit of this. Let's see if we can get a little of this. This is just a little bit of ministry and praise. One of our founding members. Let's see. Just a little of it, just a little teaser, so you will come out Saturday night. I'm gonna put that flyer back up there. I want y'all to grab that flyer. I want you to tell a neighbor, tell a friend. There's a lot going on in Chicago Saturday night. I know that we've got a lot going on, but this is a free service on the south side of Chicago, southwest side, 104th and Halsted. Three. One for the Father, one for the Son, and one for the Holy Ghost. That's going to be Tim Brown and True Praise Chorale. They're pushing us from the left. I feel it already pushing. and RVC is tugging me on my right, and Lemmy Battles is standing in front, and Darlene Allen Nichols is standing in back. They got us surround, they'll come around you. They're trying to trap us, but we gonna all go up together and sing. We support each other. This is family. Saturday night, and it's gonna start at 5 o'clock. If it's 5 people in the audience, we're gonna start at 5 o'clock because we want to start it on time. You know how I found out you get a reputation for starting on time? Start on time.
Start on time. Yeah.
That's how you get a reputation, starting on time. And we're going to begin, and we're going to go on and give God some serious praise. And we're going to be doing a salute to the late Dr. Brenda Joyce Moore. So when I say that name to you, Billy, what does Brenda mean to you?
Well, I'm going to mention Brenda in a second, but I do want to piggyback on Tim and Dr. Chambers. I wasn't able to be a part of ECC. Well, I was able, but I wasn't part. But I did attend the Chicago Mass workshops at Kennedy King. So I did get my some training from those workshops. I didn't know you all then, but I'm sure you were there. Sister Brenda, I told Brenda a few years before she transitioned, I told her, I said, Brenda, if I was to leave here, I want you to take over RBC. That's just how much respect I have for her and how much I trusted her music ministry. So she meant a lot to me and Renewed Voices for Christ.
Absolutely. Timmy?
Wow. So many memories about Brenda Moore. A lot of people don't know that Brenda and I used to live in the same building together in Cayman City for some years. And I remember when I lost my job, if I didn't have anything to eat, I could go downstairs to Brenda's apartment and she'll have something for me to eat. And when she didn't have food, she'll come upstairs to my apartment and we'll just break bread together. Such a phenomenal woman of God. And as I kind of shared earlier in my creating True Praise Chorale, she was very instrumental in influencing me to kick this group off. And she volunteered without hesitation to be my first musician and ultimately became my first minister of music. And I'm not sure, and I'm still trying to prove it, but it was Brenda Joyce Moore that really made us known as one of the first community choirs in Chicago to have an all-female band. I mean, we had it from organist, keyboardist, drummer, lead guitar, bass guitar, or you name it, Brenda put it together. And so for years, we would go throughout the city of Chicago with an all-female band, which was just so amazing to see, especially when you in a field was male-dominated. But Brenda was second to none. Excellent songwriter. And even when I was organizing True Praise Chorale, she at that time was also organizing her own ministry called United Praise.
United Praise.
And so, she could have, spend more time with that. But again, she was a giver. And just like you, Billy, you guys, just give of yourselves, you have your own ministries, but you have no problem stepping in to help somebody else. And so hats off to you, Billy, hats off to Brenda Joyce Moore. God bless her spirit. She was just such a phenomenal woman. And I don't think she got the kudos that she deserved, because she is absolutely a phenomenal songwriter as well as a musician.
Let me add to that. Brenda was also a good trainer. The last project that she did, Ministry and Praise, did the vocals. And when I tell you she had the whip and crack on us, I was like, wait a minute now. She was deaf on part. She was deaf on pitch. She was on breathing and execution. And we had rehearsals just like anybody else that really wants excellence. We stayed until it was right. And she made sure that project had the best production possible. And the unfortunate part is when you don't have a lot of financial backing to do the marketing piece, it can make a difference how you're going to get out there. But if you guys would go online and look up Brenda Moore with Ramon Perry, she wrote some phenomenal songs, and she was an excellent writer. And she was our female musician of the city at that time. And I won't forget this one time we were Youth Fellowship Rally had something going on. God bless you, Anthony Williams. I see you out there, brother. And somebody started playing something in A. Luckily, I wasn't at the keyboard because that ain't my favorite key. I think I can bump in A, but I can't play fluently at that time in A. Brenda went right over to the organ and started playing like she didn't have anything else to do, with that only look on her face, like nothing was wrong. And the musicians are sitting out in the audience like, wow. Because they knew, those of us that have perfect pitch, we knew it was A. Because I was like, that's A. That was like, I can't do it. And it was a simple song. And Billy knows, sometimes when people start in those keys, you be trying to pull them back and they move, they're not going to move. Nope, you come get me here. I'm not going to B flat and I'm not going to A flat. And so Brenda was so phenomenal. She was also educated. She could read music and she could write it, and she could sing a little bit too. But the Lord blessed her with the gift of writing. And God's decision back 2020 in April to suddenly take Brenda, I still take a deep breath thinking about that day. I'm so glad everybody is here. Listen, I want y'all to if you all are coming to the concert. Before I say anything else, everybody that's on my live right now with Ramon Perry, I want you to give me some hearts. I want to see that page flooded with hearts. James Ivans, I know you're coming. I thank you for coming. That's Leon. He'll be headed this way. They're coming from the north, south, east, and west. They're coming from the four. Yes. They're coming. They're coming. Ron Smith, God bless you. My prayers are with you in your loss. I saw that on your page today. Listen, so it was just such a blessing to have her, but God decided to do something and we didn't understand it, but we had to accept it, and not to go into that too much because we want to celebrate her life. Yeah. Sylvia Coleman, I love you. It was so devastating. And my first thought after the initial shock and everything, because everything was shut down in April 2020. God bless you, Bird. Mount Carmel Baptist Church. Reverend Robert Jones is in the building. 29th and Wabash. You'll find me over there on Sunday mornings at 11 o'clock, sitting right on that hammer. Yeah. Everything works well. All the pedals work. Everything. Every night. I ain't going to go there. Everything had shut down. God bless you, Deb. And so we couldn't give her a proper, homegoing celebration as was with everyone else. And so we went ahead and did the tribute video. You can find it on YouTube, tribute to Brenda Moore. God bless you, Carolyn Hurley, my first love back in grammar school. Listen, and I said that when things lighten up, we're going to do something to honor the memory of Brenda Moore. She's so deserving of that and so much more. She helped so many people, and Chicago's been blessed. They talk about how people aren't together, but there's a community of us that are together. Billy plays and helps everybody.
Everybody.
Leonard Maddox, who will be getting the Brenda Joyce Moore Award on Saturday night. You all come there to help celebrate Leonard. Everybody knows he's had a couple of health challenges, but we're believing God for complete healing and restoration. Those that know Leonard, if you are standing with us today, you want to believe for complete healing and restoration. Leonard, if God be God, is going to be with us that night. He slipped into one of our rehearsals the other week, and we're so glad to see him. And he's going to get that award that night, and he is so deserving. I just want to thank you for the hearts, everybody. I see, and Fritz, our big brother, Fritz is out there. That's my little big brother, 6'7" feet tall. James Ivans, that's Leon. He's one of my good tenors. We're going to pass the mic. We're going to have a couple of good singers. We're just going to sing and sing and sing and shout and collect some money. Amen. Listen, I want to play a little of this. I want to see if you all recognize this choir right here.
Is thy faithfulness. Let's give it up.
We're not going to give the store away. You got to meet us Saturday night at 5 o'clock. You got to come to Messiah Temple Baptist Church, 104th in Halsted. You got to get there early to secure a good seat. Now, we're going to have on the billboard that night, Tim Brown, Elder Tim Brown, and True Praise Chorale coming back together, if only for one night.
One and done.
Where's Luther? He said, let me hold you tight, if only for one night. I see your hearts out there, Barbara. We're going to have on board that night the one and only evangelist Lemmy Battles. She comes through Chicago, Mass. God bless you, Tony King. I see you out there. You know who Tony King is, don't you? I know you know that.
That's my brother.
That's right. Evangelist Lemmy Battles is going to be singing a song that Brenda Moore wrote. And we're going to have evangelist Darlene Nichols, Pastor Darlene Allen Nichols. She's going to be in the building. Ramon Perry and Ministry and Praise Chorale will be singing. They got us bunched. They got us in the corner. I keep trying to tell y'all don't see it. But True Praise Chorale got us trapped in. And RVC is going to be singing just like what you saw. Come on, Billy, let's talk about that night. How did we get to, what is that, Verizon, How Sweet the Sound? Let's talk about that.
How sweet the sound. Well, again, I do want to say, Ramon, when you would have a program or if you sung on the service, we knew that we were going to get a Detroit feel from you. And you're going to have to talk about that later on in the show, okay? You know, you gave us that what we needed, you know, from the others from across the lake. But it's something I don't know if you grew up in Detroit or if you had a big influence from Detroit, but that's what you all gave us, and I really enjoyed that from you all.
All right.
How Sweet the Sound. After our Hyde Park days, we were competition doubt. We were competition doubt, and I just made the decision. I prayed about it, and I talked to the choir about it, and we said we're going to go ahead and enter this competition, and push ourselves, competition style singing, still giving him excellence and the praise for what we did. And of course, they don't let us just do any music. They have songs that we have to pick from, and Great Is Thy Faithfulness was one of the songs on the list. And I said, well, there's an arrangement, that I grew up with. And I said, let's do that and kind of, play around with it and see what we came up with. And that's what we came up with for that night.
So you had to know that we were all screaming in front of our TVs when RBC came. You know that, right? Chicago stood up. I know that. And listen, we got to talk about Cedric Nunley, one of the most prolific, profound directors that you will find walking and breathing God's air. Let's say something about Cedric tonight. Go ahead. Let's start with Tim. Tim, say something about our brother Cedric Nunley, and then we're going to let Billy chime in.
I tell Cedric all the time, he is today our modern day Philip E. Snead. Cedric is hilarious, but gifted at all that he does. Everything that Cedric put his hands and his heart to do, it can't help but prosper. He is just phenomenal. I appreciate him. He is my longtime brother and friend. He was very instrumental in us being a part of House of Blues on a regular basis. He was not the first person that when we first started singing at House of Blues, we did House of Blues for 10 years. We did the 10-year run. And I have to go back to the late L. Andre Patterson, who was the host of the Gospel Brunch back then. And then the Sunday when we were supposed to perform, that Saturday or that Friday night prior to, he had passed away. And so we were like, oh God, we still got to do this show. How are we going to do this without L. Andre Patterson? And then Marie Bradley stepped in. And then after her, then there was a Cedric Nunley and the late Elaine Robeson, who just recently passed, and others. But Cedric has just carried the Sunday Gospel Brunch for years and made it so that we could be on that platform consistently for years. And so I appreciate that. Cedric is he's just a dear heart. Like I said, everything his hand touches and his heart touches, it can't help but turn to gold, because he's truly a genuine heart of gold himself. So kudos to Cedric. That's my guy.
Absolutely. Billy?
I met Cedric when he was a freshman at Hyde Park. And he was one of our tenors in the gospel choir. And I guess it took about a year or so where I saw that this young fella got something special. And from his singing and just from his enthusiasm of singing gospel music and his personality. And I remember one rehearsal, I said, Cedric, come direct this song. And I have never seen him direct before. And I know that he was coming from Christian Tabernacle, late Dr. Maceo Woods. And Cedric came up in there, and he's been directing ever since. He's been hollering ever since. If you need him to play a tambourine, he's going to play a tambourine. If you need him to sing soprano, he's going to sing soprano. If you need him to sing alto, he's going to sing alto. And one day I was visiting Christian Tabernacle, and this is my motto for Cedric. His pastor said, every ministry should have a Cedric Nunley. And that's true to the word. Every ministry should have a Cedric Nunley. And absolutely. I love that brother for being by my side all these years.
Cedric has been faithful to RVC since day one, and that is to be commended. And you know, it's so ironic, you know, he reminds me in a small way. I can't really put my finger on it, Billy. He reminds me of Reverend Sneed in terms of his spirit and having a way of bringing us all together. And he's just somebody that everybody should know. We do share Cedric with the world. There's a meme out, a GIF of Cedric dancing that's out there on social media. God bless you, James Williams. Aletha Lewis, God bless you. I haven't seen you in a long time. Teresa Smith, God bless you. I'm so glad to see you. I see so many of you out there. I'm so grateful that you shared in. Sarah Tinsley Montgomery, God bless you. God bless you. Deborah Gates, I love you. There's nothing you can do about it. Listen. So Billy mentioned something. You all, I want y'all to just think when Saturday comes, so many things will make so much more sense. I just believe God is doing some great things already. You all just can't see it. But Billy mentioned something about us singing, having a little Detroit flavor. I was so much impacted by so many gospel greats, starting right here in my own city with Fellowship. When I was a little boy, Fellowship was the standard, okay? Cosmopolitan, the standard, Order, Choir Decorum. And they're not going to just look good, and they're not going to just have order. They're going to rip you apart, okay? You're just going to get that. Fellowship was the standard. Reverend Evans was the standard, okay? First Church of Deliverance. I wasn't in the anthems and hymns there. You guys will probably, if the Lord says the same, we'll probably have a little anthem medley for you Saturday. But I was Chicago imparted. So Jesse Dixon, Jubilee Showcase. God bless you, Chris Hall, long time member of Renewed Voices, just walked in the building. God bless you, Chris. All of this helped me, and I didn't even know it. Poured into me. Ethel Holloway, Audrea Lennox, Albertina Walker, the Barretts. Just listen to all this was just coming into me, not knowing it was going to impact me. But one time I had an opportunity to hear the Whitfield Company, and that opened up my ear in another kind of way musically that I had not heard before, especially vocally, the way Tommy brought vocals out the choir. And then along with him, my friend and brother, Pastor Rudolph Stanfield, is another gospel great, awesome musician, writer, singer, conductor, producer. So that imparted into me as well. And my sweetheart, Gay Hill, who was here last week, she should be back with us this week. It was just a Detroit connection. So that's my other city. And while we're at it, we're going to bring Chris on. I see Chris has walked in the room. It just got greater. Somebody said it got greater later because Chris is in here. We're going to play a little of this. We're going to bring Chris on. I just want to share a little bit of that. That was the night we brought Pastor Stanfield to Chicago, and he surprised me and brought two of his lead singers here. Had no clue they were coming, and they came and shared with us that night. And I think we might even have a little piece of that in a medley that we might do a little bit of on Saturday night. But you won't be able to hear it unless you come to Messiah Temple. Now, you got to meet us there at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Because we're going to start on time. Is that right, Chris? Chris Hall just
That is right. That is right. That is right. Man, I am excited. I'm super excited. Bless each and every one of you guys, my leader, my good friend, Tim, good friend, Ramon. Looking forward to Holy Ghost time Saturday night.
Amen. Chris, listen, let me ask you something. What does the name William Smith Jr. mean to you?
Oh, my God. Traditional gospel with the new age twist. I have always, I remember first time hearing this choir, they sang The Blood by James Hall, and I had never heard it sung like that in my life. And I said, I gotta be a part. So from that point on, 26 years later, I'm still here.
Tell us a little bit about RVC and what that experience means to you, sharing with that ministry, being faithful. Tell us a little bit about that, and then tell us one of your most memorable moments with RVC.
Man, oh God, tons of them. One thing I can say about RVC is that we laugh, we joke, we have a great time, but when it's time to minister, they put on the full armor of God, and I've seen it time after time, showcase after showcase. And that's one thing I've always appreciated, that even small in number, the power of God always prevail with RVC. One of my most memorable moments was probably one of the Lake Geneva trips. We went down for a weekend, and man, to have Caucasians get so involved and so yoked up with us in our ministry. I remember it. It was the crying, the calling out of God. It was phenomenal.
See, that's how it goes. God always moves, and it doesn't matter the number.
Yeah.
Get that? I want somebody to understand that. RBC can get you with 15, 25, and don't give them a good 9, okay?
Oh, yeah.
Listen, I got somebody else in here that I want to talk to. Look at here. Our sister, come on, Tanya. Come on, say hello to everybody.
Hey, sister.
Hey, y'all.
Tanya, say hello to everybody. And I want you to tell me, when I say the name Tim Brown, what does that mean to you?
Well, again, hello, everyone. Thank you, Ramon. Thank you for bringing us all together. Yeah. One and done.
That's Tim.
So Timothy Christopher Brown is my brother. And it was always a delight to be in ministry serving with my brother. Mm-hmm. Everyone knows, as you've already stated, it's going to be a spirit of excellence when Timothy Christopher Brown is standing in front of us and those arms are waving.
Yes,
they're not just waving.
Yes, sir.
There is some instruction. And the way that he led us, or he guided us, and the perfectionist that he showed to us is him. But he is my brother. I love him dearly, and I loved being a part of his staff or board of directors, officer, alto, and just being with him. And if I can just say, Ramon, I began High Park, went to RVC, started with Billy, continue with Billy, but started with RVC. And when I decided to leave RVC, I was trying to sit down and be in somebody's audience. But because it was Timothy Christopher Brown, I then became a part of True Praise Chorale. And I'm glad that I did. I was able to work and minister with him for the entire time.
That is a blessing. Your most memorable moment, or one of your most memorable moments with TPC?
What I always carry again with me, because of his perfectionist spirit, I remember being in a New Covenant rehearsal. Even years later, Tim taught us if there was a word that we needed to put that H in the front of that word. It's just something, it was just his teaching. That would be my most memorable thing. And I carry that with me. I rehearsed the other week. I said something to Tim because I knew he could hear that, something that he would hear. And I learned that from him listening, to, you don't put pluralize this word that's already plural, and just the diction and all of those things. So my most memorable moments would be his teaching, that he taught us how to sing and how we should present ourselves.
Absolutely. It's so nice to see the members and supporting cast that help propel us as leaders. Last week was Ministry and Praise Week. I wanted to make this week TPC and Renewed Week. And I wanted to get some of the supporting cast that help make things happen behind the scenes. Chris Hall is behind the scene making things happen, and most of us wouldn't know about. Tanya supporting Tim in ways that we just don't see. And it's just not enough thanks we can give some of those that help make the ministries that we lead what it was and what it still is today. Tim, can you just give me one of your most memorable moments with TPC?
Jesus, wow, that's a hard question because there's so many.
Billy, get ready. You next.
Yeah, honestly, I think for me, the one that really comes to mind is we lost 7 or 8 of our choir members, including Dr. Brenda Joyce Moore. But there was one young lady who was one of our lead singers when we did a recording in 2002. Her name was Marquis Oliver. And she passed away, and her husband asked if we would sing at her funeral. And so, of course, unlike you and Will and Billy, I can't play anything but a tambourine. And so, I lean heavily on musicians to be present. And so here's True Praise Chorale, all in white, full number, not one musician in sight. Not one keyboard player, not a drummer, not a guitar, not a harmonica. And so I stood the choir up. I gave them, I said, we have to go sing. And they looked at me, yeah, we're going to sing. And when I tell you, as a matter of fact, one of the songs that we sing on Saturday is a song that we sang at her funeral. And so I won't say what that is. As Ramon said, you're going to be there Saturday to see what it is. But when I tell you True Praise Chorale blew me away, they surprised me. I mean, flat-footed sang, not a instrument played. It was absolutely phenomenal. So that's a memory I will always keep in my heart. That, again, you don't always have to depend on people. And I learned that from Father Hayes. I learned to go with or without. When God has called you to do something, you just have to do it. And as Tanya said, we learn to do things in the spirit of excellence. And as to the Lord, the Bible says heartily is unto the Lord. And I'm a firm believer in doing it that way.
Absolutely. I've never seen you guys do it any other way. I just where's Donald Lawrence? I've never seen it. Come on, Billy. Tell us a memorable moment that comes to mind when you think about renewed voices for Christ.
Well, like Minister Timothy said, there's so many, of course, over 30 years. Going down to New Orleans on the train to Bobby Jones. But if there's one thing that really stuck out to me is we did an engagement in Gary, Indiana, one year, maybe East Chicago, and we were there. It was a late night. Well, it was about 7 o'clock service, but we took a van and we got back to True Light. That's where we met, where our cars were, and when we got back to the church about 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock or so, We stayed on the van singing until about 12:30 in the morning, just in front of the church, just sitting there singing. And once we, got tired of that, we declared that night that we're going to have midnight musicals on that night, because I do believe that was a Good Friday night. And ever since that night, we had been having our midnight musicals from that situation, just sitting up in front of True Light, singing on the van, and just having a good time. Nobody didn't have nowhere to go. We weren't in a hurry. We just were there enjoying the Lord with ourselves. And from that time on, that's where our midnight musical was birthed.
I believe I had an opportunity to come and sing one night. Ministry and Praise came and sang. Listen, I see Penelope Gregory. How could I have come this far? Just Jesus Cosmopolitan Church. Been singing a long time. Probably one of the best altos that ever sang in anybody's choir. God bless you, Penny. And Maceo Harris Sr., one of the most prolific writers, arrangers. His ministry is phenomenal, doing great things. They have taken the mantle and they're running on. God bless you, Maceo, for sharing with us today. Listen, I'm going to put this back up because I feel something. I feel a tugging in the air. You need to meet us Saturday. We're about to check out. You need to meet us Saturday at 5 o'clock over at Messiah Temple Baptist Church. Messiah Temple. Can you guys mute your mics for me? Messiah Temple, 104th and Halsted, right here in the city of Chicago. Pastor Keith McGee is the host pastor. 3 United. We're coming back together again. Ramon Perry, Ministry and Praise, will be leading the way. Elder Tim Brown and True Praise Chorale coming back to sing us down. RVC, us coming in with bulldozers and gonna knock us off in the corner. I see it already. They're camping around us. Lemmy Battles is in front, and Evangelist Pastor Darlene Allen Nichols is in back. Listen, if you want to have a good toe tapping time, you need to meet us and make plans. Now, we're going to start at 5 o'clock. There's no admission charge over at Messiah Temple Baptist Church. Messiah Temple Baptist Church. So you want to come, and we're going to be having a good time. Listen, we're going to be doing a little toe tapping.
Take your seat, take your seat, take your seat, take your seat. Take your seat, take your seat real quick. Take your seat real quick.
This is old.
Nobody told me.
Uh-oh. I told you it's going to be some pushing and some shoving. They're coming from the north, south, east, and west. They're coming by boats. They're coming from Georgia. They're coming from Tennessee. They're coming from Texas. They're coming from Washington. Carol is on a plane right now. They're headed this way from Denver, Colorado. They're coming. Billy, they're coming. Tanya, they're coming. Chris, they're coming. I want everybody to invite everybody that is breathing. Let's pack Messiah Temple out on Saturday. Listen, I'm getting ready to check out. I want you all to meet me here. I want to thank Elder Tim Brown. I want to thank Billy. I want to thank Tanya. I want to thank Chris Hall. I want to thank everybody that shared with me tonight. All of you all that are out here, invite somebody. Let's fill up that church. There's going to be a lot going on in Chicago that night, but we're believing God for a miracle. We're trusting that God will fill up the temple and his train will fill the temple. How many believe that with me tonight, that God is going to fill our house up and all will be made well? I'm looking for you, and even you, 5 o'clock, Messiah Temple Baptist Church. We're going to start on time. Let's meet the Lord on time. Get there early to secure a good seat. I see Paul Porter, God bless you, and so many others. Share this live. I'm going to put the Fritz, we're going to put the flyer out there in the post. Tell everybody, meet us at 5 o'clock. Come ready to shout. We support everybody. Everybody's already blessed and anointed and singing good in the spirit before we even open our mouth. So we're thanking
Yes.
God in advance. Listen, my old clock on the wall tells me it's time for me to check out of here. So I'm going to check out, and we're going to see you on Saturday at 5 o'clock. God bless you. God keep you. I
God
love
bless
you.
you.
There's nothing you can do about it.
God
Bless the brother.
God bless.
Bless, guys.
God bless you.
Views made on the preceding program are not those of WVTC Radio, iNetworks Communications, or their financial supporters.
Winning victory through Christ. WVT.